Good morning, learner, and welcome to our today's lesson. That is going to be on pronouns, as you can see on the board. So, learner, about pronouns, we have very many categories of pronouns. As you know, that pronouns are words that are used to replace the nouns. They take the place of a noun in a sentence. Let's take an example like Tom. Tom is a good boy. Tom is a good boy, and Tom is our main noun there. So when we bring in a pronoun to replace the noun, that is Tom, we talk of he is a good boy. So now this type of pronouns are called personal pronouns, and that is what we are going to look at in this our lesson. So we know other examples of pronouns like the one that shows ownership. We call them okay, let me not go into that because they'll take most part of our lesson. I want our lesson to be as short as possible. So we're going to go directly to this personal pronoun. Talk of personal pronouns. We'll talk of the first part will be the nominative part. Nominative pronouns, and then we have the objective. So Lana, I want you to take be very keen as we look at this, because we have interacted with them a number of times. We talk of the first one, maybe let's go in order according to the person. We normally have the first person, second, first person, second, and the third person. So first person normally have I in singular, and we in plural. So I is going to be me this side on the object part. Talk of I. Okay, we'll come to that the sentences so that you can see. Then talk of we, that comes to be us this side. Then go to second person. That is only you. So you remains to be you this side. And then it comes to third person, where we have the first one is she. Talk of ladies first. She, that comes to be her. Then we have he, you change to be him. Then we have it, that will change to be it, the same it there. Then we have lastly they, that will change to be them. So now these are whatever wanderers look, and we see how they are used in different sentences as far as grammar is concerned. We have I am a boy, we are boys, you are a girl, she is a teacher, he is a doctor, it is my pet, they are pets. So how again do we use this particular nominative and objective pronouns in different categories? That is what we are going to into details. So I'm going to write I'm going to write the same so that we can give us space here to write sentences the other side, so that we may have a bigger place to show our sentences here. So let me just write them here a bit. We are talking of nominative, and then we have the objective part. So under the nominative, we have talked of I, we, she, we have he, and we have left you here. She, he, it, and they. So this side we have I, me, we change to be us, you is just you, she is her, he is him, it, and they, them. So now let's go to the sentences now and see. Other times we are told that we are mentioning or setting things. So when we are setting things, what are the following rules? Rules to follow. Number one, anytime we are, when stating subjects in a sentence, when stating. The meaning of stating is just mentioning. When you're mentioning, like Jane, I met Jane, Tom, and maybe here you want to now bring in you want to bring in a pronoun there. So you met Jane, James, maybe, and he. So when mentioning or stating things, Lana, we use, when stating subjects in a sentence, we use the nominative part only. Use the nominative part. Now remember that always use a nominative pronoun always to show stating. I'm going to give some two examples here. E.g., number one, E.g. A. We may talk of Jane and I. Jane and I. I've used that. You can't say Jane and me are going home. Jane and I are going home. Are going home. B. You can also say he and she are liars. He and she. You can't say him and her, or her and him are liars, no? Because these ones are people. Initially they were people's names. Maybe talk of he is Daniel and she is Grace, for example. So initially we talk of Daniel and Grace are liars. But because we are now replacing them using pronouns, Lana, you have to be cautious of this. You must use the nominative part only. Don't go to the objective part to miss that particular mark. So much for that, Lana. So anytime you are mentioning, I will mention a number of pupils. I met Jane, Jerome, Daniel, Thomas, and she. Remember that. Or I met, maybe you are now mentioning people. Maybe let's take a scenario where some police officers mistreated somebody, but you are a witness. You saw when those police officers were mistreating somebody. So you are taken to a parade where the officers are and asked, whom did you see harassing that person? Then say, I saw him. Then we can now mention of him there. I saw he, like that. You can talk of he. No, not I saw him. So when you're mentioning them, I saw he, I saw she, and the rest. You mention the nominative part alone. Then comes number two, when there is a preposition. When there is a preposition in a sentence, we use when there is a preposition in a sentence, stroke, when a preposition comes before a pronoun. Then I want to understand that part very well. So when there's a preposition in a sentence, or when a preposition comes before a pronoun, we use the pronoun. The pronoun must be objective. That is our marking point now. That pronoun must be an objective pronoun. You can see a lot thing here. So I'm going to give a sentence directly. So I've just mentioned, even when there is no writing there, when there is a pronoun, learn. When there is a pronoun, ensure that when there is a pronoun before the dash, before the pronoun, we ensure, so talk of before. a preposition before a pronoun, we use the objective. Example, she sits beside. Lana, you know that beside is a preposition to show next to. She sits beside me. She sits beside me. So I use that. Beside me. You can't say she sits beside her. No. She sits beside me. Daniel sits between me and her, between us and them, between it and her, between him and you, things like that, Lana. You don't become confused. When there's a preposition, the house is next to, we'll talk of next to ours. Our, meaning that is now yours. Their house is next to ours. Their house is next to yours, next to hers, next to his. So we still use that same part. Next to, meaning that is a preposition. He sits in front of him, of her, of you, of us, of me. You can't say in front of we, no. In front of he, that is also wrong. So that is before preposition. And we're going to see them when you're going to carry out on your assignments. When we're going to see whatever the question I'm going to ask you, and try to refer to those short notes that I'm giving here. Then the last one, there are normally three. The last one is when comparing. When comparing using than. Let me put than in bracket. So we use the nominative part. I.e., so here we have the number of times talk of she is older than he. She is older than he. Now, the word than here normally shows that you are comparing two people. You can't compare more than two people. When you compare more than two people, we now use the superlative part. That she is the tallest boy in our class. She is the tallest girl in our class. For example, tallest now mean out of many. But out of two, we compare using than. That's why we talk of Grace is the taller of the twins. Grace is the taller of the twins. We still compare, even if they has been used, we still compare. So when we compare in this category, Lana, talk of she. This one is the first we have mentioned in our first subject. That's why we talk of she. She is older. So after the comparison part, older than he. Now talk of this subject. Is older than he. Or Jane is brighter than they. So we are comparing Jane and a number of people. So Jane is brighter than they. You still use this part. Don't say Jane is brighter than them. And that is what is so sweet in our mouth. That is what we have been doing a number of times. Jane is brighter than they. James is taller than they. That monkey is wiser than it. We still talk of it because now that is they are the same. He is bigger than you. Still correct. He is brighter than we. Don't say he is better than us. No, he is better than we. I am bigger than you. That is now common. I am bigger than you. We are smarter than she. Don't say we are smarter than her, and etc. So now, let this one be our end point in this our discussion, and then be ready now to answer as much question, as more questions as you can. I'm going to write them down, then give them to you to try. In case you get any difficulty learner on applying these 3 rules of when comparing, when there's a preposition, and then lastly when we are just mentioning, you contact and then I'll try to show you what to do. So until next time, I want to wish you a very busy day.